This is Deuteronomy 20, verse 10 to 18. When you march up to attack a city, for those of you who are conversant with English language, we have definite article and indefinite article. Definite article is the. Indefinite is a or an. Definite means a specific thing. If the verse had said, when you march up to attack the city, they will know that it is a definite, a specific city. But it says, when you march up to attack a city, that is indefinite, not specific, it is random. Random attack on random cities. Now let's read. It says, when you march up to attack a city, that is a random, unspecific, indefinite city, any city, make its people an offer of peace. Make its people an offer of peace. Call them to peace talk. You want to attack them. Then the first line of the attack is that you call them to peace dialogue. This is the Bible, Deuteronomy 20. And once again, this is said by God. And you guys said Jesus is God. And there is only one God yesterday, today, and forever. So if Jesus is God, then that means Jesus Christ is the one talking here. Because you said, Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. And you said that simply means that he is I am that I am. The one who was speaking to Moses in the wilderness in the book of Exodus. So that means Jesus is God according to you, right? So that means Jesus is the one talking here. Now let's see what your God says. He says, make its people an offer of peace. Call them to peace. If they accept, look at this. If they accept and open their gates, if they welcome you in, all the people in it shall be subject to forced labor. They shall be subject to forced labor. That is, you take them as slave. That is, if they accept the peace treaty with you, you still have to enslave them. You take them as slave. And you force them to engage in forced labor. And they shall work for you. Then it says, if they refuse to make peace and they engage you in battle, lay siege to that city. When the Lord your God delivers it into your hand, put to the sword all the men in it. Oh, this is the Bible. And you have the guts, you have the audacity to be talking about the Quran. You know, I as a former Christian evangelist, becoming a Muslim, someone have asked me before that, how are you able to accept those verses of war in the Quran? Firstly, my response was in two ways. I said, the verses of the Quran that talks about war is less than 1% of what is in the Quran. Like the verses of the Quran contains over 6,000 verses. The verses that talks about war is less than 20.
Almost 10 places in the Quran that Quran men show go and kill.
Let's say 50. So, are you telling me to abandon the 6,000 other verses that talks about mercy, about love, about compassion, about understanding, about mutual coexistence, about the worship of the one true God, about devotion, about... You want me to abandon all this and just focus on those little, it talks about war. As if that is the context of the whole book. As if that is the context of the world religion. No, this is hypocrisy, brother. This is hypocrisy. Why don't you talk about those verses of the Quran? Like in Surah Zumar, Quran chapter 39, verse 53, where Allah said, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ.
قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
Why don't you talk about verses like this? If indeed you are truthful, if indeed you have integrity, you want me to hear your word and act upon it, but you don't show integrity. You are quoting just less than 1% of the Quran, and you want me to use that to abandon the full message? No. Allah said in Surah Zumar, that's Quran chapter 39, that all my slaves, all my servants who have engaged in sins, in transgressions, in vices, in atrocities, no matter how enormous your sin is, no matter how massive is your transgression, no matter how much you have gone against God Almighty, La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Do not despair of the mercy of Almighty Allah. Do not lose hope in the mercy of Almighty Allah. Inna Allah yakfiru dhunuba jami'an. For verily Almighty Allah forgives all sins. Yakfiru dhunuba jami'an. Allahu Akbar. He said, He, Allah, forgives all sins. Innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. And verily He is the oft forgiving, the most merciful. This verse is there, and you expect me not to believe in this? You expect me to abandon verses like this because of those verses that you don't understand? You don't understand the context, and perhaps you understand the context, but you just are not sincere enough. You are not bold enough to come out and speak the truth. You want me to abandon the verses of the Quran that tells me to be merciful, where Allah said, وَابْتَغِي فِيمَا أَتَاكَ اللَّهُ دَارَ الْآخِرَةِ وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَأَحْسِنْ كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ وَلَا تَبْغِ فَسَادًا فِي الْأَرْضِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُفْسِدِينَ.
وابتغ فيما آتاك الله الدار الآخرة ولا تنس نصيبك من الدنيا وأحسن كما أحسن الله